Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you chase something, the more it seems to slip away from you? This paradox is one of life's most fascinating truths. When you stop obsessing over outcomes, you often find yourself achieving them with surprising ease. Zen and Buddhist traditions teach that clinging too tightly to results can actually block the path to success. By surrendering to the present moment and releasing expectations, you open yourself up to possibilities far beyond what you imagined. Consider this timeless wisdom. Those who clutch tightly often lose what they seek, while those who open their hands receive without even asking. This insight forms the core of a story about transformation, surrender, and the mysterious power of letting go. In a peaceful forest surrounded by towering cliffs, there lived a young monk who sought enlightenment. He was diligent, hardworking, and completely consumed by the desire to perfect his meditation. Every day he would sit for hours, striving to empty his mind and connect with deeper truths. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, peace remained just out of reach. One day, while meditating near a waterfall, he noticed how effortlessly the water flowed. It didn't strain or struggle to reach the river below. It simply surrendered to gravity and allowed the journey to unfold naturally. Struck by this observation, the monk realized that nature operated without resistance or attachment. But understanding this was not enough. He wanted tangible results. Frustrated, he began to meditate even more intensely, forcing his mind to focus, his breath to slow, and his thoughts to vanish. Yet the harder he tried, the more restless he became. One evening, his master approached him and said, "Your mind is like a clenched fist. The more you tighten it, the more energy you waste and the less you achieve." The monk nodded eagerly. The master began, "There was once a farmer plagued by drought. Every day he prayed for rain, dug trenches, and lamented his misfortune. Still, his fields remained dry, his crops withered, and despair consumed him. One day, a wise wanderer passed through and said, 'Stop chasing the rain.' Though skeptical, the farmer followed the advice. He shifted his focus to enriching the earth. Without warning, the rains came, bringing a bountiful harvest. The farmer asked. The master looked at the young monk and said, 'Stop chasing peace like the farmer chased rain. Tend to your practice without expecting anything in return.'" Inspired by the story, the monk decided to embrace non-attachment. However, he soon discovered that letting go was easier said than done. As he meditated, his mind would drift back to thoughts like, "Am I doing this right?" Day after day, he battled his expectations. He doubted the master's words and grew restless, but deep inside, he sensed that true change required patience and faith. One afternoon, the monk observed a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. He considered helping it, but the master stopped him. "If you interfere," the master said, "the butterfly will never gain the strength it needs to fly. Let it struggle." Realizing the parallel to his own journey, the monk saw that he could not force enlightenment to emerge. He had to allow the process to unfold naturally. Gradually, he began to release his obsession with results. Instead of meditating to achieve peace, he meditated simply to be present. Instead of striving for perfection, he allowed himself to be imperfect. At first, nothing seemed to change, but over time he noticed subtle shifts. His breath grew deeper, his thoughts quieter, and his heart lighter. He no longer measured his progress or sought validation. He simply sat, like the waterfall he had admired, flowing without effort. One day, as he sat in meditation, he felt an overwhelming sense of stillness. It was as if the entire forest had merged with his being. The boundaries between him and the world dissolved, and a profound realization arose. Peace was never something to be achieved. It was always within him, waiting to be uncovered. When the monk shared his experience with the master, the elder smiled and said, "What you have found is the fruit of non-attachment. When you stopped caring about results, you cleared the space for peace to arise. Remember, the journey matters more than the destination." The master replied, "Caring is not the issue, clinging is." When you attach yourself to a specific outcome, you create tension and resistance. Imagine trying to hold water in your hand. Grip it tightly and it slips away. Cup your hands gently and it stays. Life flows in the same way. To illustrate his point further, the master told another story. An archer once sought to perfect his aim. He practiced tirelessly day and night, always focused on hitting the bullseye. Despite his efforts, his arrows often missed the mark. One day an old archer watched him and said, "Your problem is that you aim too hard." The young archer scoffed but decided to try. To his amazement, his aim improved dramatically. The monk took these lessons to heart. He began to apply the principle of non-attachment not only to meditation, but to all aspects of his life. When he tended the temple garden, he focused on the joy of planting rather than the hope of blooming flowers. When he taught younger monks, he found satisfaction in the act of teaching rather than in their success. Over time, he realized that letting go did not mean giving up. It meant engaging fully without clinging to results. This shift brought him a sense of freedom and fulfillment he had never known before. Word of the monk's transformation spread throughout the temple. Others began to seek his guidance, curious about the source of his newfound peace. He would often tell them, "The harder you chase results, the more elusive they become. Focus instead on the present moment and trust that everything will unfold as it should." The monk's journey of surrender revealed lessons that extended far beyond his own transformation. As he shared his wisdom with others, he observed profound changes in those who embraced the practice of letting go. Their lives began to flow more effortlessly, filled with unexpected successes and joys. The elder monk smiled and replied, "Not at all. Goals are like the stars in the night sky. They provide direction, but they are not destinations to be reached. What matters is the journey and how you walk the path." To further explain, the monk shared a metaphor. Life is like a dance. If you focus only on the final step, you miss the beauty of the movement. A dancer does not strive to finish the dance as quickly as possible. Instead, they immerse themselves in each step, trusting the rhythm to guide them. Similarly, when you stop obsessing over results, you can fully experience the joy of the process. The younger monk nodded, inspired by the simplicity of the metaphor. Letting go is simple in concept but challenging in practice. Many who sought the elder monk's guidance expressed the same difficulty. "How can I let go of something that matters so deeply to me?" The elder monk would answer, "Letting go does not mean indifference. It means releasing attachment. Caring deeply about something is natural and beautiful. But when your care turns into obsession or fear of failure, it binds you like a chain. Trust in your efforts and in life's timing." He often reminded them of the old saying, "You cannot calm turbulent waters by slapping at them." One day, the elder monk devised a test for his students to illustrate the power of letting go. He filled a bowl with water and placed a single flower petal on the surface. Then he asked each student to retrieve the petal without spilling a single drop of water. The first student tried using force, plunging his hand into the bowl. The water spilled over and the petal sank. The second student tried a gentler approach, using his fingertips to guide the petal, but his trembling hand caused ripples, and again the petal sank. Finally, the elder monk took the bowl and gently tilted it. The water flowed naturally and the petal drifted to the edge, where he effortlessly picked it up. "This," he said, "is the art of letting go. When you force a situation, you disturb its balance." As the years passed, the elder monk noticed a curious irony. Those who practiced non-attachment often achieved far more than those who clung desperately to their goals. Their freedom from obsession allowed them to approach challenges with clarity and creativity. One of the most striking examples was a potter who had once struggled to create a perfect vase. The harder he tried, the more flawed his creations became. After adopting the monk's teachings, he began working with a sense of playfulness and ease. To his surprise, his work improved dramatically, and he became renowned for the beauty of his art. When asked about his success, the potter said, "I stopped trying to make a perfect vase. Instead, I focused on enjoying the process of shaping the clay." One evening, as the elder monk gazed at the stars, he shared his ultimate insight with his students. The universe has its own rhythm, far greater than our limited understanding. When you release your attachment to outcomes, you align yourself with that rhythm. The monk replied, "Perhaps the results you seek are not what you truly need. Life often gives us not what we want, but what we need for our growth and happiness." Patience is an integral part of letting go. The elder monk often compared it to planting a tree. When you plant a seed, you do not stand over it and demand it to grow. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust the earth to do its work. Many of his students found comfort in this analogy, realizing that their efforts were never wasted, even if the results were delayed. As the monk neared the end of his life, he reflected on the profound transformation that had occurred within him. He realized that the principle of letting go was not just about achieving results, it was about living with grace, freedom, and joy. He shared his final teaching with his students: "Life is a river. When you swim against the current, you exhaust yourself and go nowhere. When you surrender to the flow, you are carried effortlessly to your destination. Trust the river, trust life, and trust yourself." The students carried this wisdom in their hearts, passing it down through generations, each finding their own meaning in the timeless truth: once you stop caring, results come. Thus, the elder monk's legacy became a beacon for all who sought peace in a world often consumed by striving. It reminded them that the key to fulfillment lies not in grasping, but in releasing, not in striving, but in surrendering. If this video inspired you, let it inspire someone else too. Subscribe to follow the journey, like to show appreciation, and share to pass the inspiration on it if the results we want never come. The monk replied, "Perhaps the results you seek are not what you truly need. Life often gives us not what we want, but what we need for our growth and happiness. Trust the universe, it has a wisdom far beyond our grasp. Patience is an integral part of letting go." The elder monk often compared it to planting a tree. When you plant a seed, you do not stand over it and demand it to grow. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust the earth to do its work. In time, the tree grows strong and tall, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Many of his students found comfort in this analogy, realizing that their efforts were never wasted, even if the results were delayed. As the monk neared the end of his life, he reflected on the profound transformation that had occurred within him. He realized that the principle of letting go was not just about achieving results, it was about living with grace, freedom, and joy. He shared his final teaching with his students: "Life is a river. When you swim against the current, you exhaust yourself and go nowhere. When you surrender to the flow, you are carried effortlessly to your destination. Trust the river, trust life, and trust yourself. Let go, and you will find that everything you seek is already within you." The students carried this wisdom in their hearts, passing it down through generations, each finding their own meaning in the timeless truth: once you stop caring, results come. Thus, the elder monk's legacy became a beacon for all who sought peace in a world often consumed by striving. It reminded them that the key to fulfillment lies not in grasping, but in releasing. Not in striving, but in surrendering. If this video inspired you, let it inspire someone else too. Subscribe to follow the journey, like to show appreciation, and share to pass the inspiration on.